Welcome everybody to another episode of Fantasy News. I am your disheveled goblin host, Daniel Greene, and today we have, updates to Audible drama controversy news. A special little bit of Wheel of Time news. A nice little fluffy cloud there for you to rest your head on and go to sleep with. What does that mean? I don't know. And of course, the wider array of fantasy news as well. But without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on into that Wheel of Time news. It's been confirmed that the Wheel of Time crew will be recording from November 30th to December 2nd at a castle in Segovia, Spain, called El Carzar. I think I'm saying that right. I hope I'm saying that right. I believe I am. Now, some people are saying this is, a alternative to them canceling in the Czech Republic. I don't believe that's the case. From what I've been able to gather, this was a planned shoot that they were always going to do here. And yes, they had to shut down production in the Czech Republic, but because Spain's lower cases, it's fine for them to continue on actually filming this reported
battle sequence
over here in Segovia, Spain. Also, with scouting locations, booking, getting permission to film, especially in a place like this, it would probably take a much longer amount of time to secure a place like this than they've had from when they shut down in the Czech Republic. So I think these are just unrelated. And from what I've been told with my source, they only really need to still film like pickup shots in the Czech Republic. So it's not going to be that delayed, if at all, from everything that's been going on. And I'm just very curious to know what possible battle sequence they're filming. Tell me! I don't know. I really want to know. I 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 really want to know. Now we're gonna go ahead and slide from that Wheel of Time news into another monolith of fantasy franchise news. And that's, of course, we're seeing more people talk about the fact that next year we're going to have new Middle-earth material that is going to cover all kinds of stuff, from Elvish reincarnation to which characters had beards. Titled The Nature of Middle-earth, it'll be put out in June by HarperCollins, and I know there's probably billions of excited fantasy fans, not billions, millions of excited fantasy fans who are going to want to get their hands on this one, and a lot of people who are just going to get it to still maintain a complete Middle-earth collection. I know there's a lot of you who are going to be like, maybe I'll read it, maybe I won't, but you're still going to buy it just to have it there and say you still maintain a complete Middle-earth collection. Don't deny it. I know how you operate. You haven't read all the books you have, haven't you? No, you haven't read them all. You have so many of them just because you think they're pretty or you're a completionist, and you can't justify it beyond that. As you know, you might not read them ever. Do you feel called out enough yet? Good. We've covered that story before, and I got so caught up in the bit, I forgot to clarify the reason we're covering it again is the release date is confirmed for June of next year, so. But I bet you're not going to read it, are you? You're just going to put it in your little Tolkien collection. The Audible controversy continues to grow. Josh Erickson has made another post on the fantasy subreddit, essentially saying this is becoming more and more of a confirmed thing. There's an allegation now of someone being able to return one single credit on Audible 28 times after listening through every single one of the books they downloaded to various extents, some all the way through. If that's true, because again, the authors who had their books returned would get nothing from that, essentially providing customers free access to books and screwing over authors at a potential profit. I initially hoped this would just come down to a technical glitch on Audible's side, but with it being quite a substantial amount of time since this first came to light and no word from them in response yet, that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I'm now thinking this is just something they hope they could get away with doing, providing customers with a bunch more books and not paying the authors. This is a general thing that the companies are now just doing, we don't need to pay the people who write the stories. We take it all. Now, bigger names are also getting involved with trying to make change happen here, including the likes of Robin Hobb. Hot damn. She posted to Twitter the letter that they are now asking people to sign to send off to Audible to say, hey, stop this practice and stop ripping off authors by having their works returned after they're consumed and not paying them for that. Audible's not a library. And after looking at the evidence for yourself, you decide, yes, this is something you want to sign to try and help get some change made. I will have the letter linked down below for you to sign yourself, which I've already done. Full disclosure here, I had Audible reach out for potential sponsorship on the channel a week ago. Granted, not directly from Audible. There's middlemen who try and find people who will be good sponsors for them. By the way, this video is brought to you by this video is brought to you by nobody. My patrons bringing this video. Shout out to you guys. Love you. I just didn't bother responding because I was like, you're not gonna want to work with me. But this does seriously bother me. There's like this corporate trend of just deciding that they don't have to pay authors what they're due, and it's really weirding me out. And I'm hoping the new age we live in of authors having massive followings, dedicated fans on social media, will actually be able to help them provide the pressure on companies like Audible to get the change they deserve, if I have to say everything that is being alleged here is true. Although I will say, before I knew this was an issue, I returned a single credit on Audible 5-6 times and was never penalized in any way for it. So I know from my first-hand experience, there's at least some credibility to the claim of 28 times on 1 credit. Let's get back into real fantasy news here, right? The Last of Us series has officially been greenlit at HBO. What does that exactly mean? Well, as I said recently as well, according to my friend over in Hollywood who works in these projects, greenlit for different studios has different implications sometimes, but it's a very good sign that this show will actually be made. They're making actual steps to get the production going. We will see a Last of Us show, and I'm very curious to see who people in the comments section down below suggest to be cast for this, because I have absolutely no idea. That is a heck of an acting challenge. Anyway, who would you like to see take up the lead roles for the Last of Us show coming over to HBO Max? And speaking of HBO Max, the Wonder Woman movie will be released in theaters on December 25th and on HBO Max, further cementing that like DC HBO Max relationship that's developing with the Snyder Cut and stuff. Neat. I like this. It's kind of a, yeah, we've seen things like Tenet absolutely bomb at the box office trying to be released during a pandemic, which was just not a good idea. So maybe putting it out on a streaming service for a bunch of money and putting it in theaters could have a somewhat better return. I think these superhero movies are kind of in a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because they do absolutely have to maintain superhero hype. If they wait a lot more time to put out this Wonder Woman sequel, are the fans still going to be there for it? I don't entirely know. So yeah, I think they kind of have to do this right now, and it's an interesting approach that I hope works out for them. We also got a trailer for the YA sci-fi adaptation
Chaos Walking,
starring Tom Holland and Daisy Ridley. I had not really heard much about this, then I watched the trailer, and it looks pretty enticing, and that's not just because Mads Mikkelsen's involved, though that helps a lot. He's one of the best, actors alive. And this just kind of had like a neat premise, and the execution from the trailer, which is like the biggest asterisk ever, looks pretty solid. So I'm, gonna be watching this for sure. The idea of having like all my thoughts projected outside, oh, that's terrifying. A lot of people would have to be really cool with a lot of weird stuff for society to move on if this happened. Or we'd all just kill each other. And in a bit of quickie news, a nude code Geass project will be announced on December 5th from their YouTube channel at a premiere. Now, cool. I like this, and involving new media in your announcement, effectively. And there's currently 88 people sitting here, even though it's not coming out till December 5th. What are you 88 people doing here? Go home! And one last piece of quickie news, we actually had Supernatural deliver its final episode, which apparently actually did give it a pretty decent audience bump for that ending. And I have to say, like, as someone who is never a fan, but can still respect longevity and what this show was, congratulations to everyone involved for having an insanely successful show, giving so many fans a franchise they clearly were so in love with. I can just appreciate from the outside, and I somewhat feel like, I don't know, like I walked on like in a baseball game that I don't care anything about, but I saw like the underdogs win, and I was just like, oh, good job. Well done. Not that Supernatural was like an well, I mean, every show is like most likely to get canceled, so I guess it's an underdog in that sense. And in the final piece of fantasy news we're gonna cover here today, the ultimate kicking of a dead horse, just smashing a skeleton at this point. The 5th Predator movie is officially being worked on with the 10 Cloverfield Lane director attached. Now, I like the first 2 Predator movies, but then Predator 3, all this crap. The most recent one was just, wow, bad. Just some franchises need to be let go. Take it off life support. I do not understand how we can just never let something die. Predator's a cool concept that very much so fit the time period it was released in. Having it still being milked now, it doesn't feel exciting. It doesn't feel interesting. It just is like watching someone prop up a dead body and like, look, you liked this dead guy 30 years ago. Keep liking this dead guy right now. Can an era end? Can a franchise die? Or are we now at a point where there's just so many people who are going to be baited into watching stuff from their childhood that nothing's ever really going to be gone? We're all going to be consuming the same content in our nursing homes 40 years from now. Oh, Captain America punches Red Skull for the 900th time. This has been your latest episode of Fantasy News. Like and subscribe if you have not already. Hit the Patreon if you want to support what I do here. And have a good one, y'all. Peace. And of course, I'd like to record a special shout out to my latest high tier Patreons, Ryan and Darkenfall. Hope you guys are having a great one. And you know what? I hope everyone's having a great one. Peace.